Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Hunger Free Communities Quarterly Summit. And I'm Minerva Delgado. We're just waiting for folks to stream in, so we'll give folks another minute before we get started. In the meantime, I will share our agenda for today on the screen. So we'll get started when we have a few more folks join us. So thank you, everyone. I'll start by introducing myself and going over the agenda. I'll ask my colleague to introduce herself, and then we'll get into the agenda. We will have time for all of you to share what you're up to. So we'll ask you to introduce yourselves when you do that. I'm Minerva Delgado, and I'm the Director of Coalitions and Advocacy at Alliance to End Hunger. Hopefully, I'll get to meet all of you in person at some point, but I think I know most of you, at least virtually. And thank you for joining us today. We are recording for folks who aren't joining us today. So Aaliyah, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
For sure. Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. Had to check, see what day it was. My name is
Tuesday.
Aaliyah. Thursday. I'm Aaliyah, the new the Alliance New Hunger Free Communities Associate. It's good to see you all. I've met a good amount of you guys, but I'm still meeting people, so super excited to see everyone here today.
Thanks, Aaliyah. So just to go over the agenda, we will have you all introduce yourselves when we do our group share. And our first speaker will be Devin Schroeder, who's with Hunger Free Oklahoma. And as you all know, we like to invite partners to talk to us about what they're up to, so that we can get to know who's in the network and what they're doing, and maybe steal some great ideas that other folks have across the country. So we're going to get to Devin in just a minute, and then we'll do just some group share so that folks can get to know each other in the network and get a sense of what your organizations are working on. And then we'd like to debrief the Hunger Free Community Summit. Hopefully, most of you were there. And talk a little bit about, what we're planning for next year. And then we'll do a few updates. We're planning a small grant program. We're also planning regional meetings. And if you're in the Northeast or Mid-Atlantic, you may have heard from me about this. So, and then we'll wrap by 3 p.m. So thank you all again for joining, and we really appreciate you today. I'm going to stop my share and let Devin take the floor.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully you can see my presentation. Can everybody see it? Okay,
Yes.
Great. All right, good afternoon. My name is Devin Schroeder. I am the Senior Manager of Programs for Hunger Free Oklahoma. Excited to be here with you all today. I'm just going to kind of share an overview of who we are, what we focus on, and some of the ongoing projects and priorities that we have that we're working on right now. So Hunger Free Oklahoma, we just celebrated our 7th anniversary. So we are kind of beginning our 8th year as an anti-hunger organization in Oklahoma. As you can see on the screen, we really kind of have our 5 core favorite tenet areas that we really focus on. So we have advocacy and policy. We do a lot of research. We published a hunger assessment that really kind of came to the creation of Hunger Free Oklahoma. We do after school meals report that we're working on to publish for summer for 2024. We recently launched a school breakfast report just to get the information out to our partners. We also really meaningfully engage with our program providers, whether they're state agencies, whether they're nonprofits, food banks, and learn what those challenges are implementing nutrition programs and better understanding how we can improve policies and practices. But at the core and the center of everything that we do is collaboration. So we really enjoy making friends and building partnerships across the state. And then across the nation as well. So working with other anti-hunger organizations like Alliance to End Hunger, BRAC, No Kid Hungry, and other state anti-hunger orgs, kind of how can we learn from each other? So we really work on improving policies, practices, and seeing how we can get more Oklahomans access to food every single day. So by and large, we are really trying to figure out how we can better implement and utilize nutrition programs. So we're talking about our grocery assistance programs. So we have SNAP, WIC, we have the Dipper here in Oklahoma, so that's the food distribution program on Indian reservations. We also really focus on wider utilization of our child nutrition program. So that's both in schools and out of schools. So how can we better utilize the National School Lunch Program, the community eligibility, broadening access by wherever we can, implementing no-cost meals. So encouraging schools to operate CEP if it's financially feasible, working on policies to grant access for no-cost meals for all students. We work on increasing access to summer meals, after-school meals, etc. Another tenet of our work is really serving as a backbone and a convener for numerous coalitions and councils, and I'll walk through what some of those are in specificity a little bit later on. And then our advocacy and policy work. So a lot of different focus areas. To kind of give you a better idea of our team, we started off essentially in 2016 with a team of 2 individuals in December of 17, and now about 7 years later we have about 40 in our staff. So we've seen rapid growth, and it's really exciting to see how when different team members come along, they are bringing their unique experience into this anti-hunger realm, elevating different priorities, different individuals and organizations that we can engage to really kind of make traction in this important work. I'm going to walk through just our main kind of categories of partnerships that we really work through. So state agencies, we work very closely with the Oklahoma Human Services for our SNAP outreach work. And then in the past with PEBT, advocating for summer EBT, which is a great opportunity that we are hopeful that state agencies will opt into in the very near future. We work with our State Department of Education. They are the administrators for our child nutrition programs. We work with our tribal nations here in Oklahoma. Many of the tribal nations operate a wealth of different nutrition programs. They have been on the frontier of our pilot summer EBT programs and learning from them. So a lot of great partnerships there. Community organizations, so this can range from libraries to nonprofits to food banks. We work with library sectors, the healthcare sector, all kinds of different things. Whatever kind of agency or organizations are interacting with Oklahomans across both urban and rural, we are really trying to figure out how we can reach everyone. And then lastly, we work very closely with the 2 food banks based in Oklahoma. So we have 2 that work in central and western Oklahoma, and 1 that serves the eastern side of the state. Through these partnerships, we provide training and assistance. We provide a lot of training related to SNAP application assistance. We have a state contract in which we are able to implement that with all of our partners. We do a lot of mapping and data. We have information that we receive from our State Department of Education and helping to map where underutilized programs are and how we can do targeted outreach. We test and pilot interventions, trying to figure out where opportunity to scale projects and make them more sustainable, and then kind of going back to the collaboration. So it's a robust ways in which we work with our different partners. In the public policy and advocacy realm, I'm going to highlight just on a specific work that we are doing right now. We are currently working with our legislators here in Oklahoma to advance no-cost meals for students in Oklahoma. So we worked with 2 representatives last year and to work towards a no-cost in which the state would be able to absorb the reduced cost, reduced priced meals for those students qualifying for that tier in the National School Lunch Program. We saw a lot of success in that first part of the bill process. It passed through the House easily. It did stall when it got to the Senate. And so the past several months, we've been working with different leaders in Oklahoma to do facilitate some interim sessions, which we kind of learn more about the bill, what some challenges were, what would make it more feasible. We are now going to try to reintroduce the bill in the coming legislature. So working through that with different congressional leaders here in Oklahoma, and excited to see what that traction, where that can go. I'm going to segue into our SNAP outreach. So SNAP outreach is a big priority at Hunger Free Oklahoma. We currently have a state contract with Oklahoma Human Services, so we're able to leverage federal funding and state funding to really maximize how many Oklahomans we can reach. So we work very closely with our 2 food banks. In May of 2020, kind of in the height of COVID, we were able to build up a robust SNAP hotline from scratch. It's something we're really excited about and very proud of. On this SNAP hotline, we have bilingual speakers who are able to assist callers in English, Spanish, and Zomi. And so it's open Monday through Saturday. And so callers are able to call in and get application assistance for SNAP. We really found that prior to this, there were a lot of barriers for folks across the state to apply. And so we wanted to reduce that. In tandem with that application assistance hotline, we also partner with nonprofits, the different sectors that I listed before, like school districts. We have a SNAP in Schools program in which these partners can also provide that SNAP application assistance, or they can refer their clients or their patients or their families to our SNAP hotline, and we can give them a call back at their convenience. So we have set up a lot of closed loop referral systems, callback forms, any way that we can increase the access to the hotline. In our SNAP outreach, we provide a lot of outreach material. We work with partners and kind of meet them where they're at, identify what their needs are, what their challenges are, and work to develop tools that can help them connect individuals and families to SNAP applications. And then just kind of providing that ongoing coaching. So this is just a snapshot of what our SNAP application assistance hotline looks like. It's toll-free. We work really closely with OHS on this to improve processes. We also process renewal applications. And additionally, our hotline agents are really friendly. They also connect callers to different resources in their community or refer them to different agencies based on what their needs are. So. Next, with grocery assistance, Double Up Oklahoma has a GovSNP app funding grant in which we have been able to operate the Double Up Oklahoma. So through this program, we've been able to leverage federal funding with state funding along with private matches, in which we are partnering with farmers markets and grocery stores across Oklahoma to allow SNAP users to double up their purchasing power. So what happens is if you go to a participating farmers market or to a grocery store and you use your EBT card, you will get up to $20 each day to buy fruits and vegetables at a future time. And so currently we have about 12 grocery stores, we have about 20 farmers markets, and then we have one location in Tulsa that is a mobile grocery store, and it stops in 7 different neighborhoods. And so with this program, we're trying to scale this up in low income, low access communities where there isn't a lot of access to healthy food. And it really encourages the SNAP participants to be able to stretch their food dollars on healthy items. And we've heard incredible stories across the state from where these programs are operating, that the grocery stores are buying more fresh produce. They're hiring more team members to manage their produce department. It's incredible the data that we're seeing and what's coming back. One of the other projects we're really excited about is Duo for Health. In the Duo for Health program, we are working with clinics that are in close proximity to our open locations. And so if those clinics are serving populations with diabetes or heart or cardiovascular issues, we're able to partner with them in which they can refer their patients to the local Double Up Oklahoma sites if they are SNAP eligible. So it's been incredible to see that growth. And so I'm going to kind of just walk you through some of the the growth that we've seen in the past couple years. So in the past 3 years, since November of 20, we've seen nearly 83,000 SNAP customers participating in this program, about 3.3 million redeemed for produce. So kind of thinking about all of the different items that these families and individuals now have access to, where maybe formerly they weren't able to allot their SNAP dollars to that fresh fruits and vegetables. And then we've seen that increase in locations from 11 in 2020 up to 40 in this year. Now I'm going to transition real quick to our child nutrition programs. This is kind of timely for us with the passing of the omnibus bill in late 2022. Our team has been really excited about 2 expansions of summer meals. And so that includes summer EBT and the rural non-congregate option for summer meals. And so that has been a big priority for figuring out how we can expand summer meals in Oklahoma. We are a primarily rural state, and so summer meals have been logistically challenging to implement when we have the congregate restriction in Oklahoma. So we're trying to figure out how can we identify those underserved areas in Oklahoma, so utilizing data and figuring out what partners are in those areas so we can kind of grow participation in that program. With these summer meals being a big priority, we do help to coordinate convenings, to bring partners together across the state to talk about summer meals, to share practices. As somebody who previously implemented summer meals, I can remember kind of being maybe sometimes overwhelmed with some of the record keeping requirements, some of the procedures that sponsors or sites are required to do. And when you're able to bring those people together to talk through it, they're able to share ideas, they're able to troubleshoot, and they're really able to kind of make those connections and facilitate that best practice sharing. And we've seen a lot of learning come from that connectedness. So we're excited to bring people together in that arena. This logo that you see right here is just, we have been able to convene people across the state through the kickoffs that we've held for summer meals in the past several years. I mentioned our non-congregate summer meals outreach, big priority right now. What we are doing currently is planning for some regional summer meal convenings. So rather than doing one huge kind of in-person event, we are going to do several smaller ones across the state to make it a little bit more geographically accessible. So we are currently planning that for early 2024. The past several months, we have been working with practitioners both in Oklahoma and out of Oklahoma with the help of our Immersed in Hunger Fellow. We've been interviewing different partners that do participate in summer meals and better learning what their experiences have been like, what they recommend, what their challenges are, so we can kind of help to develop some toolkits, some checklists, some ideas, so we can share that with others that are interested in participating. Additionally, we're using data to identify underserved counties and then figuring out how we can get that outreach to those target areas and build those partnerships to grow participation. I'm talking really fast, we've got a lot to say. I'll keep going. So really central to the hunger-free community work, want to kind of talk about the coalitions that we kind of serve as a backbone for. In this role, we really serve as a supporting organization. We have access to a lot of data resources, so that does come across the request, but we try to get as much information out and share that out with our partners so it is usable, helpful data in their planning efforts. At the center of everything, we foster that collaboration and then kind of figuring out what the priorities are in different communities or different spaces. And so I'll talk a little bit about what some of the specific councils and coalitions are. The first one I've been able to be a part of for the past better part of 6 years. So I'm excited to talk about this. This is the Oklahoma Childhood Food Security Coalition. In its beginning stages, we really focused on increasing access to summer meals. So sharing information, bringing state agencies, tribal nations, food banks, school districts, youth serving organizations like Boys and Girls Clubs and YMCAs all together around the challenge of increasing access and participation in summer meals. Recently, we broadened that to all child nutrition programs, both in school and out of school. And so we are able to convene partners for summer meal kickoffs. We have a monthly meeting via Zoom where we talk about policy and advocacy, ways that our members can advocate for different programs, any updates that will impact everybody. And then we have specific action groups working on different goals within the coalition. And through this coalition, we will be implementing the summer meal regional convenings in the coming year. Our other kind of more locally based councils, the first one is the Tulsa Food Equity Council, also known as TFEC. One of our team members is helping to serve as the backbone for this. This is kind of really evolved in the probably the better part of past couple years, and really kind of focused on the food-driven justice values. And so centering how can we get more voices from the local community to speak into the work that the council is doing. And so it's been really interesting to see how that whole process has kind of been navigated. And so we've had lots of learning lessons and how can we make this more impactful and center the voices of those that are navigating food insecurity and accessing different programs. And so it's a kind of a continual process. The other one we are also currently serving as the backbone is a more rural food hunger-free community work. We actually just had a meeting in Noble County in Perry today. And so it's really kind of figuring out how to foster that community-wide collaboration. What are the people in the community focused on? What are their issues? One of the great successes out of this hunger-free community work is that we were able to get a duo grocery store in that community to help increase access to nutritious food. They're also currently working on SNAP in schools in that community and really figuring out how partners in that area can work together to increase access. The final one that I want to chat about today, and I'm probably gone way over my time, is our work in centering lived expertise. Hunger Free Oklahoma had the honor to participate in Alliance to End Hunger's community engagement cohort. So we were able to talk to different partners in this space about really centering voices of those who are navigating food insecurity. We are working on 2 different projects within this realm. In early 24, we are launching kind of a storytelling cohort. They will be focused on different areas of the population. So in January, we are working with a local equality center, which will be hosting it to engage 2S LGBTQIA members and figure out kind of making it a safe space for them to talk about food and insecurity, accessing programs. They will receive storytelling, kind of a workshop, and kind of discussing that navigation in their lives. Out of these storytelling cohorts, we will then be engaging individuals to develop a curriculum and then launching a 8-month-long cohort that will start at the end of 2024. So really excited about this work moving forward. And I'm going to leave my contact information. Would love to hear from you all if you all work on this similar work and how we can learn from each other. And I'm going to take a deep breath because I've been talking really fast.
Yeah. Thank you, Devin. Wow, that was amazing. And thank you for sharing all of that information. Why don't we open it up for any questions or comments for Devin? So please feel free to raise your hands or unmute yourself and jump on in. It's a small enough group that I think we can just allow people to ask questions. So feel free.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Laura, and please introduce yourself.
Hi, Devin. Sounds like you all are doing amazing work. I have a kind of a specific question about the data that you share with your coalitions to help them in their work. Because we're ever seeking, sort of what are the metrics we ought to be using to drive our work? What are available data that other states are using that we might not be cultivating appropriately? So I'm interested in that.
Yeah, so I can talk about some specifics. So with child nutrition, we have been able to get an MOU with our state administering agency for child nutrition programs. So we're able to get all the participation data, number of sites, number of meals served in those different counties. It's all aggregate. So if there's any district that has it's small enough that is removed, is redacted. And we use that data to kind of, what we're currently doing is kind of looking county by county. So Oklahoma has 77 counties. We're trying to look year over year at what that summer meal participation has been like, and kind of comparing pre-COVID to the height of COVID, when all the kind of COVID flexibilities and waivers were in place. So that's telling us that when you had all these flexibilities in place and people could do grab and go, like our rural communities were able to increase their participation. Like it was a lot easier to operate those programs when you didn't have as many restrictions, and then kind of seeing where it's tapering off. And so we're utilizing that to figure out where are those high, very underserved areas and figuring out where we can target that. We also receive through an MOU information from our Oklahoma Human Services Agency, and they administer SNAP. And so we're able to see SNAP participation county by county compared to food insecurity rates. And so we can kind of see where they're underserved. We can also see if we have been able to do SNAP outreach specifically with those partners in that community. Have those applications, are we seeing a rise in applications? Are we seeing participation increase? So kind of seeing where those correlations are. And so we've got some great maps that we've been able to develop based on this data. But those are kind of the two that kind of come to my mind. We also have the Duo for Health. They're working, Duo for Health is a partnership with the University of Oklahoma. And so they're able to work with our participating grocery stores and farmers markets and bring back some of that data. So kind of coming through, when are the redemption rates really high or low? What are those patterns? What is being redeemed? And so it's such rich data. So we're able to kind of figure out what's working, what's not working. But those are kind of the three that come to mind.
That's great. And do you display the data on your website or any place like that?
So we don't have at one point we were working with Policy Map, but it wasn't kind of that proprietary data. So we try to share with partners. So we've developed maps. So on Tableau, we have a summer meals map participation rate, kind of showing where the congregate sites were and the non-congregate sites were. So we try to figure out what are our partners' needs? How do they want that information? And so it's kind of working with them to figure out what their questions are, and we can kind of parse that out and put it together for them.
That's fabulous. Really exciting.
Yeah.
We would love to be able to do that. We're still at the getting the data through right to know requests. So we'll get there.
Yeah.
Thanks for the question, Laura. Laura's with New Hampshire Hunger Solutions, if anyone.
Oh,
is
yeah.
curious.
Sometimes my title appears and sometimes it doesn't.
No worries. Any other questions or comments for Devin? Yes, Anne-Marie, please. And please
Hi.
introduce yourself.
Yes, hi. And I just realized that my usual stuff isn't coming through in my name either. So I am with the Montgomery County Food Council. I'm Anne-Marie Hart-Bookbinder. I'm the Food Security Programs Manager here. And I was interested, and I apologize if I missed it, because I think at that part of your presentation, I was in a car driving between meetings. So I'm not sure if I caught all the details, but I was interested in the Double Up program. In Maryland, we have a similar program with farmers markets called Maryland Market Money. And that's really successful and works really well. We do not have a similar program that gets you extra dollars for buying produce at grocery stores. So I was curious about that portion of the program. Any information on how that was formed and, kind of who covers the funding for that, anything that you could share.
Yeah, sure. So I'll kind of do broad strokes about it, and then I can also connect you with one of my colleagues that can give you like much more detailed information that's probably more helpful. But we primarily get funding through the GusNIP funding, and then that is matched. We have an Oklahoma Tobacco Settlement Endowment Trust. So we are getting funding from TSET is what we call it. We have also secured state funding, and then we have a lot of private matches. And so when we inherited Double Up Oklahoma, we were in just farmers markets. And so what we wanted to do is to kind of explore how we could get into some grocery stores, because many communities across Oklahoma don't have farmers markets. And our first one was with we have a chain called Homeland Stores. And so we worked with that chain. And the challenge with that is that you have to, Walmart is just too big. The funding is just going to drip out. And so kind of figuring out where the low income, low access communities are, and then figuring out the point of service sale, like the point of sale system in a grocery store is key. Like you have to figure out like what that logistic is going to look like. And so that they can set the system up so that when a EBT card is run, that receipt is going to give back that voucher so that that customer can come back and utilize it. And so that actually has been one of our biggest logistical challenges in scaling this up, because eventually we would love to be in 77 counties across the state. We're in 21 right now. And so we have a team that's actively working with several grocery stores to actually figure out how can we get your POS to work with Duo. And that's been kind of the biggest like challenge or hurdle, if you will. So, but I'd be happy to connect you with our team. I am over here, big picture, but I do not know all the detail.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I may follow up at some point to do that.
Absolutely.
Right now. We're just, kind of learning a little bit more. So, I mean, we have the same thing in Montgomery County. We are a very mixed level of affluence. And as I'm sure happens in most places, more farmers markets are located in more affluent areas. And so we have one or two that really model themselves on serving benefit recipients and do an amazing job of that work, but that's not something that has been, as widely dispersed throughout the county. And so I know that grocery stores really, can be that missing component for some families that.
Thanks, Anne Marie. Any other questions for Devin? And we can take a little more time because we can truncate some of the other agenda items if folks do have more questions. All right. Well, and thank you, Devin, for sharing your contact information. We definitely will share out Devin's PowerPoint at after this meeting, so everyone knows how to contact her. And Devin, thank you again. We so appreciate all of the great work that Hunger Free Oklahoma is doing. And so now we'll move into our group share. Unfortunately, we did lose some folks who had to jump off to other meetings. So I think we'll kind of stay in one group because it is, there aren't that many of us left, which is totally fine. It gives everybody about 2 minutes, I think, to 2 or 3 minutes to share what they might be interested in sharing about their groups. I'm going to go ahead and just share the prompt questions so that everyone has them. So again, it's just if you could introduce yourselves. What's your top initiative right now? Or, is there any support you might need from any of the groups here today? Or are there any updates that you'd like to share? You don't have to take all 3 of these questions. You can take the one that makes the most sense to you, or share something else that is top of mind for you. But Anne Marie, since you had the floor, do you mind going first? Thank you.
Sure, I'm happy. Yeah, so I don't have to take up too much time saying my name again. So one of the things I think that we are most excited about, so we're a food council. We work on a number, kind of all the food systems issues in Montgomery County. But in my program area and food security and access in general, we're just really excited that earlier this year, our county council, our county government released our strategic plan to end childhood hunger. And that is a project that the Food Council was asked to lead the design of last year. And so I was one of the lead staff people on that. We're really excited that that the plan was released, and then our newly created Office of Food Systems Resilience presented recommendations from that plan to our county council, and they actually voted on it today to approve those funding measures. So we have a number of recommendations that that office is going to get started rolling out, that we are really excited about, that will benefit not just children, but obviously their families as well in the county. Some of them are focused around school-based initiatives. Some are about getting funding, spending money into people's accounts who don't otherwise qualify for SNAP because of immigration status, but not because of financial eligibility. Some money for food is medicine initiatives, gardening grants. So there's just a lot of great options to kind of come at these challenges in different unique ways. So that is what is top of mind for me today.
Thanks, Anne Marie. It would be wonderful if you could share that resource, the new plan, with us. I have been, wherever I'm asked, sharing with folks that you all are really leading the way in terms of having a county level food security plan that you're enacting in Montgomery County, Maryland. So as a matter of fact, just FYI, I saw a few legislators from Montgomery County. I was at the National Black Legislative Leaders Summit speaking about food security, and I used Montgomery County as one of the examples of a county level strategy that other counties can adopt around the country. So kudos to you all. But if you could share the
Thanks.
the
Yeah,
link,
I'll put links in the chat. Yep.
that would be wonderful. Thank you so much, Anne Marie.
Great, thanks.
And next I'm seeing Laura on my screen. Laura, do you mind going next?
Sure. So I guess I'd say that our top priority right now is a comprehensive anti-hunger bill that we're working on with bipartisan legislators, where it includes pieces to incentivize breakfast after the bell. New Hampshire is 47th in the nation in school breakfast participation, and very few schools do breakfast after the bell. So we're hoping to commit some state dollars to incentivizing that. We're also including some incentives to participate in the community eligibility provision, because none of the eligible schools are participating. Oh, no, that's not true. There are 2 schools that are currently participating. So New Hampshire, of course, has lower percentages of poverty than a lot of other states, but we still have poverty. So we're really trying to move the needle on the schools that can participate doing it. The bill also has some pieces about online applications for free and reduced meals, which are not standard across the state. And some summer meals pieces, participating in summer EBT, which we're advocating for at administrative level, but we're going to try to put into permanent legislation as well. And then we also are asking the state to participate in the Elderly Simplified Application Program, which I wish was not necessary to enshrine in legislation, but we seem to not be able to get them to do it any other way.
And is that for SNAP? Just checking.
Yes, that's for SNAP. Sorry. Yes.
Thank you.
New Hampshire has not opted into summer EBT officially. It has said that it would. So this is not a budget year for New Hampshire. We work on a biennial budget, and so there's some question about whether in a non-budget year they'll be able to do it. We think, I mean, if it's a priority, then it's a priority. And so our hope is that they'll participate for 2024 through our advocacy, and then that we can enshrine the ongoing administrative cost in legislation. So
Yeah.
that's
And
where
thank you. And
we're.
if I can just clarify for everyone, just to make sure everyone's clear, the summer EBT money itself is federal money, but you're talking about having the state match for the administration. That's the hurdle. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I mean, I think in the short term, there are some real and significant technology costs.
Okay.
So that's, I think, really the barrier in the short term. So we're advocating for that. I'm interested if anyone knows of has done legislation or to incentivize either breakfast after the bell or community eligibility. I'd be interested in hearing about what that looked like. And like Devin, we are the backbone organization for a number of anti-hunger coalitions across the state, and we are, sort of figuring out how to help folks at the local level to address hunger. We have very poor participation in SNAP statewide, and very poor participation in all of the federal nutrition programs. And I think, there's lots and lots going on, but I think I've talked enough. So thank you.
Thank you, Laura. And if you want to share your contact information in the chat, that way folks can reach out to you individually, that would be awesome as
do.
well.
Actually, Laura, I apologize if this is kind of rudimentary and you know it all already, but in Montgomery County, we had not done CEP before, and the school system just felt that we had enough high need schools, but our overall percentage was below 40%. And that was kind of like the magic number for us to be able to even consider it. This year, they just introduced 57 CEP schools. We have a little over 200 schools in the entire school system. And what made that possible was that Maryland and Montgomery County in particular participated in the Medicaid. I'm sorry, I always do that. The Medicaid pilot program for direct certification. It really made all the difference here.
Yeah, unfortunately, because of the way that New Hampshire's education funding formula works, Medicaid direct certification costs the state a whole lot of money. We have been advocating for it for 2.5 years, and it's such a high price tag for the state because of the way the education funding formula works, that they're just not going to do it with this legislature and this governor. So very disappointing, but yeah, no, I mean, and that's of course the irony. If they participated in Medicaid direct certification, community eligibility provision would be a lot cheaper. So that's where we are.
Sorry.
Thanks for that. And I think I see the next person on my list here is Tim. Are you with us? Are you able to share what's happening at Alive and Hunger Free Alexandria?
Hi, yes. I am, so I guess for Alive, our top initiative right now, one of the things we're really working on rolling out is expanding our database system to cover all of our clients and have a better idea of who we're serving and what the profile of hunger in the city looks like. We scaled up operations immensely during the pandemic when we kind of had not exactly a blank check, but we had a lot of resources at our disposal, and we worked on scaling up very quickly with a very low barrier to entry, and we realized at some point as we had to start being a little more budget conscious that we had to start accounting for who and where the people we were feeding represented to turn it into something sustainable. So the database is our big thing, and we're starting to roll it out across all of our sites, and we've integrated it with our other new sort of ongoing big project, which is our food hubs, our multi-service food hubs, which are essentially free grocery stores, which also host on a rotating basis wraparound services from other community partners and city agencies. So we're trying to coordinate with SNAP enrollments. We're trying to coordinate with educational initiatives, trying to coordinate with the local animal shelter that distributes pet food and toys, so that we also make sure that there is food for humans distributed at some of their pet events, so people never have to choose between feeding themselves and their pets. And the um, our we're really trying to have a something that is scalable while still having client choice and as many other programs involved and other resources made available as possible. That's and we're hoping that the database will help us to coordinate all of that and really get a sense of who we're serving, which programs are a draw, which ones are succeeding, and really build something more sustainable that matches the I would say rapidly changing face of our community. Um, Alexandria is host to a lot of immigrants and refugees from Ukraine and Afghanistan. We're having to constantly a struggle that we're undergoing, and any resources, especially locally, or connections that might help with this would actually be something that I would appreciate. We're always struggling to recruit volunteers who speak the languages that our clients do, especially the newer populations that some of our more established groups that are good volunteer contacts for a lot of things don't necessarily have Dari or Pashto or Russian or Ukrainian speakers, even if we can always count on them for help with Spanish speakers. That's not necessarily the face of who is coming to our food distributions or hubs anymore. So that's kind of, I guess, what we're working on is building something sustainable and permanent in a sort of changing client profile on average.
Thank you, Tim. Really appreciate you sharing. Devin, I know you presented, but I also want to give you an opportunity to share anything that might be top of mind.
I think kind of the main two things that we're really working on are the bill legislation to help advance no-cost meals in Oklahoma as best we can. We had a lot of momentum in the last legislature and then kind of got stalled out. And so really kind of learning and kind of really developing relationships with congressional leaders that may have said, what about this? What about that? Kind of better learning what some of those barriers were for them, kind of going over 2.0. Seeing what progress we can make in this upcoming legislature. And then I think the project that I'm personally most excited about is our work is more centering our Oklahomans with lived experience. And so it's been a long road. We've been working on this project, doing a lot of research, engaging others that are doing this work across the country, developing a compensation guide. We stops and starts. We were going to do the cohort this fall. We actually had a big in-person convening in Oklahoma that a Hungry for Action conference that we did. And so lots of different things going on, but we're excited about 2024, have a great team working through the roundtables, excited to engage different parts of the population and better understanding what those nuanced experiences are. So in January, the plan is to do 2S LGBTQIA+. We do want to do a rural focused storytelling roundtable, and we're trying to figure out what are some other specialty kind of population subsets that we can kind of sort of engage in those kind of protected spaces where it's just those groups. And then kind of launching the cohort in the end of next year. So super excited about it, but it's complex and just kind of figuring out like what that looks like to minimize harm, to bring people along, co-build, co-create. What does that look like? So lots of asking questions, lots of building up our subject matter knowledge, and taking risks and knowing that, you know, nothing's going to be perfect and we'll learn from it, but like, how can we minimize that harm? So.
Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for sharing. So just want to move quickly through the rest of the agenda because I do promise we'll get you out of here by 3. We did want to, just a show of hands, if you want to use your emojis there. Did any of you attend this year's virtual summit? You can give us a thumbs up. Awesome, Anne-Marie, thank you. So just would love to hear any thoughts you have about the summit, your takeaway, particularly, you know, any ideas you have for next year in terms of topics you'd like to see, or any of the other feedback. Just to give you a little information, we are planning another virtual summit next year. This year we had over 600 registrations and we had 360 people roughly attend the one-day summit. We did pare it down to 1 day. From in the past, it was a 2-day virtual summit. So it looks like that helped attendance and that people didn't have to take so much time away to be part of the summit. And also good news, all of these sessions are now on the Alliance's YouTube page. So we'll be reaching out to everyone who attended and registered, as well as the Hunger Free Communities Network, to let them know they can actually view all of the sessions on our YouTube page at the Alliance. But would love to hear from you, Anne-Marie, any thoughts you had that would be helpful for us as we plan for next year.
Sorry, I apologize. I'm always, sometimes it's like I've never seen the mute button before and I've got to find it all again. I will apologize too, because oftentimes with a lot of these summits, I am filled with good intentions that I'm going to spend the whole day going to sessions and then fires explode. I think that's the one problem with doing them virtually, right? Is that you have a hard time then not responding to when little fires come up otherwise. I know that there were a number of segments definitely on the access side that members of our staff who also attended really, you know, appreciated. And I know you reached out to Elizabeth and myself for the planned meeting in January. And so she'll certainly have feedback for that. I guess for me, I'm probably, because I'm more focused on the food assistance providers, you know, just thinking about how best maybe to incorporate sessions that really focus on that, you know, because in all honesty, like that is sadly never going to go away, right? Where we're always going to have people who are providing emergency food assistance. I think what most of us are hoping is that we get to a point where it truly returns to an emergency situation, right? And not that every day is an emergency. So I think, you know, access programs are definitely the answer to making that happen, but like talking about that transition, and the difficulties of navigating that transition with, you know, what you have to do to keep that moving while those new programs, you know, get started and take a while to implement. You know, that's something that's always of interest to me, you know, is how to best support providers, how to maybe also shift providers maybe in other directions sometimes too, because like sometimes maybe we have more providers, but you know, maybe we need to change what people are doing, you know, to get more involved in access programs and connecting people with benefits, but at the same time they're so overwhelmed that they really don't have the infrastructure to do that. So I'm going to stop rambling, but that's just always something.
That's helpful. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. And Devin, I see you said same. All right, so we can move on. You actually mentioned the regional summit. So we're really excited about 2 major initiatives that we're going to be implementing that came out of this year's strategic plan that we did earlier. One of the feedback we got from many of our partners like you all was that, you know, people really like the virtual summits, but they miss the networking. And networking is just not something you can replicate in a virtual environment. We've tried, it just doesn't work. Nobody's figured it out. So what we've decided to do, because we will be doing the virtual summit again next year, because we think that there is a tremendous value in that. However, what we will be doing is also combining that with regional convenings throughout the year. And so for the three of you who are in the Northeast or Mid-Atlantic region, you've been invited to the January 19th meeting. So if you haven't already told me, please let me know if you're available, interested in coming, because there are only 14 groups in that region, in that area. So we want to make sure we have, a good number attending before we get too deep into the planning. Also, as you can just tell from this conversation, I mean, it's going to be such a robust conversation with all of our partners, but we're also with the Alliance inviting our members of the Alliance to End Hunger, which tend to be national organizations, faith groups, corporations, universities, foundations. So we'll be joined by groups like Feeding America, like Share Our Strength, like National Wake Association, other groups that are members of the Alliance, some of our corporate partners, ideally like Cargill or Grubhub. And so we're really excited about planning these regional convenings, and we are starting with the Northeast Mid-Atlantic. So, but we will be moving this around the country, and I think the next one we'll plan will be a Southern regional convening. So you'll be hearing from us, and that's again to try to, sort of build, we really want to build a robust network, and that happens through relationships. And that happens when we meet in person, we get to know each other, we can deepen those ties, and then talk about all of the things that are really important to us as a group. So hi, Luke, thanks for joining. So we're getting ready to wrap up, just FYI. The other big thing that's happening is that we are going to be launching a small grant program, and we're going to launch that in January. So the idea is to support our partners. So you have to be a Hunger Free Community Network partner to be eligible to apply for the grant. We're talking about grants of $5,000 or $10,000. 10 will be the max, with the idea that the funds are meant to be used not for direct services, but to really promote this idea of hunger-free communities where you're doing multi-sector, collaborative work, collective impact work. So however you can use a small grant to potentially move an agenda like that along would be something we would consider. And we'll have a webinar in January. I think it's going to be January 10th, to just explain the purposes of the grants and talk through the application process. We want to make this a fairly simple application, fairly simple reporting. It's really about building capacity. So we have raised $50,000. So we'll be able to do 5 to 10 small grants in 2024. And so we're going to encourage everyone to apply for them. There will be in terms of just the selection process, we're going to have applicants also reviewing. So there's going to be a peer review component, because you all know what it takes to do this work, and you all know, what could be really good uses of the funds. So we're really excited about launching that at the beginning of January. So that's something to look out for. So I think I'll stop there because we're at time, and I think we have time for like maybe one question if anyone has a question for me now. Otherwise, we'll be in touch by email. We'll be sharing all of this information, and really hoping everyone has a wonderful holiday season. However you celebrate, please enjoy the time with family and friends, and we'll be in contact through email. And like I said, in early January, we'll be having that webinar to explain the new grants, and we'll be planning our 2024 quarterly meeting. So we'll have one in the first quarter. Thank you, everyone. We're at time, so we'll say goodbye and wish everyone well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Oh, you're muted.
I am muted. All right, so let's stop the recording. Okay.